Hi, my name is Meredith, and I am a professional tarot reader in San Francisco with C Tarot. And I wanted to offer a video today to help demystify and debunk 5 myths about the tarot. So, without further ado, here are 5 tarot myths. Myth number 1. Tarot is a tool to predict the future. Tarot is not a way to predict the future. No one can predict the future because the future is not a fixed thing. If we were able to predict the future, then we wouldn't be able to change it because it would have already happened. Maybe the better question is to ask is why would we want to be able to predict the future in the first place? And of course the answer is so that we could avoid anything bad from happening. And that's really normal. We want to be safe. The comment that I'll say to people is that don't worry, you're not going to marry your mother and murder your father. And this is a reference to the story of Oedipus, who as a baby is taken to the oracle. His parents learn that he's going to marry his mother and murder his father, and they live their lives as if that were true. They send him away. He never meets them until he meets his father on the road. He murders him, and then he takes over his father's kingdom and marries his mother. In this extreme example, the oracle has predicted the future. There's nothing that can be done, and simply by knowing it, it actually advances it. It's normal to want to be safe, and we all have fears about the future, but the truth is that the more we focus on the things that we are afraid of, the more we are actually going to bring them into our lives. A good tarot reading is going to help you make decisions in the present and not fearful predictions about the future. Myth number 2. Myth number 2 is that there are good cards and there are bad cards. There are scary cards and there are fortunate cards. There are no good cards and there are no bad cards. There are 78 cards in a tarot deck, and they represent different experiences that we all go through. Probably the most common example of a card that people fear is a bad card is the Death card. Another one might be the Devil or the Tower. Similarly, most people think that pulling a card like the Lovers or the Sun is a good thing. There are no good cards. There are no bad cards. We can pull a card like the Sun and be having a really difficult experience. We can pull a card like the Devil and we'll be in a period of growth. You are a person, all of your experiences are valid. You can have sad feelings, you can have happy feelings, but your feelings themselves are not good or bad. They are. All of your experiences and all of your feelings are valid. The tarot is a tool that shows up to help clarify and process what it is that you are going through in that present moment. So again, we can pull a card like the Sun and be having a difficult experience. That doesn't mean that our experience is invalidated or that we're somehow working with the tarot incorrectly. It's just not the case. Myth number 3. The tarot can tell you what somebody else is thinking. I can give you an example from my own practice. I had a woman call me who wanted me to break a tie. She had called 2 psychics that confirmed that her ex-boyfriend would marry his new girlfriend, and 2 that confirmed that he would not. And I was able to tell her that she had concluded an experiment in seeing whether people will say what they think you want to hear in exchange for money. In the same way that the tarot cannot predict your future, the tarot is not going to predict someone else's future. There's been a lot of things said about the ethics about dropping in on somebody who hasn't given their consent or who isn't present. But more importantly than that, it really wouldn't even help. So too often, I think especially as women, we believe that we need to know what somebody else is thinking or what they might do in the future before we're going to understand our own feelings. And it's just not the truth. You are only experiencing your life. We only have control over our own thoughts and feelings. So even if you could get into somebody else's head, it wouldn't make any difference. It wouldn't help. Any tarot reading that is for you should be about you. Myth number 4. Myth number 4 is that if you want to have a good tarot reading or become a tarot reader, it helps to have psychic powers, be able to speak to the afterlife or some magic gift. I think that this is a really common misconception because the words medium and clairvoyant and psychic are all used interchangeably to also mean intuitive, and they're not. They're different. Intuition is not something that only a few special people have. It is something that we all have. It is your birthright. So when you walk into a room and you feel like something's not quite right, that is your intuition. When you meet someone and sparks fly, that is also your intuition. When we begin a tarot reading, the client and the reader will sit and both close their eyes and take a few deep centering breaths. This might feel a little bit mysterious or maybe a little woo, but it's actually just an exercise in intuitive listening. And really, even if you could hear from your great Aunt Mildred, she wouldn't be the best person to go to necessarily for advice on your next career move or the love of your life. That is for you, right? So when we're listening to our intuition, that is the voice of our highest self. A professional tarot reader is someone that can help you interpret what those messages are through that language and those symbols. But ultimately, it is an exercise in a mutual intuition, so there is no magic needed. And finally, myth number 5, tarot is evil. So this one really surprises me, but I want to end with it because it's really important. And I've actually even had folks want to book me for events and their friends be really afraid that something demonic or evil is part of it. And so based on the last 4 myths, you can already tell that there is nothing magic, there is nothing mean-spirited, there is nothing dark about tarot. I mean, ultimately, tarot, they're made out of cards. They're 78 cards. They're a deck of playing cards. And so I would think that, in a way, somebody that was afraid that tarot might be related to demonic spirits might just as easily consider a pack of 52 regular playing cards to be evil because it could be used for gambling. So I wanted to end with this one because I think it's really important to dispel that there are pictures of things on cards. They absolutely cannot hurt you. They are not going to bring any sort of bad omens to you, right? If you're working with a tarot reader that is a professional, that is qualified, they will use language up front like intuition and highest and best. So listening to that voice of our highest self, it's never going to sound fearful. It's never going to be foreboding. When we listen for the voice of God, it sounds like our voice. It doesn't sound like an old white dude. So if we're listening to our intuition and we're using tarot and a tarot professional to help us get a greater understanding of our place in the world and our purpose, there is absolutely nothing that could ever be hurtful or harmful or certainly not evil about that. There you have it, 5 myths about the tarot that have hopefully been dispelled. I am happy to do this work and I am happy to offer it to the world. If you would like to receive a reading, if you would like to learn more about how to use the tarot yourself, please contact me. It would be my pleasure. Again, thanks so much for watching.